Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Brooklyn. It's so good to be here for another episode, another day. Welcome to all of the new subscribers, and thanks to everybody for pushing play on another episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, in case you're new to the show, you may have missed it last week. I would love for you to hit pause now and scroll down to the show notes and grab your copy of the Ultimate Private Practice Checklist. It's free. It's a collection of all the things that you might want to do in your private practice before you get set up so that you can have a diary with appointments in it ready to go for when the doors open. Also probably a good idea for those of you who are already established in your practice to have a look and just see if there's anything you might need to update. So go ahead and do that now. I'm not going anywhere. And then when you come back, we can get started with today's show. Okay, welcome back. Good job. Okay, so, I love to talk about themes that are coming up over, the week. And what has come up over this week is a little bit of a fear or a little bit of a concern around, this need to be really, really busy all the time, this need to be doing things. And, I hear women say things to me like, well, if I don't take action now, I'm either going to stay stuck ruminating or asking endless questions, driving everybody crazy, or even worse, Brooklyn, I'm going to make the wrong choice in inverted commas, only to regret it later, And so there's this propensity that doing something is better than doing nothing. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. I certainly felt like that when I was, just starting to launch my private practice. I felt like I needed to be doing things all the time. And I was telling myself a story that if I wasn't doing things, then I wasn't, cut out for business, and I wasn't a very good business owner, and I would never be successful if I was just relaxing. Of course, I know now that's not true, thanks to my ability to be able to integrate spiritual practice with the private practice and how I run that. As a result of integrating and harmonizing those two very different approaches, I am able to work less and still do the work that lights me up and still, refill my own cup. And so I want to speak into that today. Yes, we're going to be talking about masculine and feminine, but I guess really more around balancing the two. And I think this is so important because if you're finding that you're working really long hours, longer than you were when you were employed perhaps, and you're not seeing the results that you want, and yet you get up the next day and it's like Groundhog Day, and you just sit in front of your computer or you go into the practice and you're doing it all over again and still not getting results. Well, I'm speaking to you because I feel like perhaps there's something more going on there for you. I think that maybe you're kind of stuck in this pattern of being in the doing energy because you don't know anything else. You don't know a different way of being in the practice, and you don't have strategies that you need. And so you're just going back to what you know, even though you're aware that what you know isn't working. And it's having a bad effect on your energy. Probably it's making you quite tired or grumpy or cranky or irritable perhaps, or something like that. But there is a universal law. It's the law of duality. It also relates to the law of polarity. And that simply means that while there's, one side over here where we're doing, there's an opposite side where we're not doing, we're being. And if you're, wholly and solely in either one of those sides, well, you're not going to see results in the private practice. In order for you to get results, you need to be integrating and harmonizing the doing with the being, the masculine with the feminine. If you're only in your masculine, it becomes a problem. And here's why. If you're stuck in action and you're, not killing yourself, but like if you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure to keep doing things, different things, all sorts of things, doing all of the things, what's going to happen is you're not creating space for the feminine energy. And that feminine energy is about filling her cup, right? Which is receiving, isn't it? So if you're in the masculine space of doing, you're giving. And if you're not filling your cup, if you're not replenishing, if you're not rejuvenating things like your energy, then it's going to have a ripple effect for the practice. And maybe some of you have already started to experience that. Hopefully you don't, but it can be very, very real. And then there are others of us that are in private practice and we have really kind of no clue about what we're meant to be doing. We just kind of get our hints from Facebook groups and we kind of look around a little bit perhaps to see what other people might be doing. But we tend to place more focus and more energy on who we're being in the practice. And for us as women, that looks like being really good and really loving the actual client work, the actual therapy, We love being in the room. We love holding space. We love sand play. We love, things that are even more creative. We love art therapy. We love just dialogue, the power of dialogue. We love the power of listening and the unspoken word and the power of silence. And we love just being connected in a very deep and powerful way with somebody. That's where we want to place all of our energy and all of our focus. And while that's a beautiful space for all of us to hold, and it's why we all got into this industry, it's not going to help you run a private practice because you can't run a private practice without systems, without processes, without the mechanics behind it, okay? And this is why I'm saying if you're just in that space there where you're holding space for clients and wanting to only do that work and not do the rest, you won't have a practice for very long because it's not going to make money because you're going to be too connected to the energy of the feminine. Okay, so really what I love helping you with, and we go into this in a lot more detail with the private practice class, is that integration of, what would it look like for me in my practice? How into my masculine am I? How into my feminine am I? And where do I actually need to be? When you're in the feminine and you don't have space created to invite all of those processes and structures in to support the business, what are you going to do when you start to get more and more clients coming in and the framework isn't there to support an influx of newbies? What are you going to do when, stuff happens? And it's not, being in private practice isn't a straight line. It's going to go up and down. And what are you going to do in the down times where it gets really hard and difficult and you don't have those policies to invoke to protect you or to protect your income or to protect your practice? So just like the masculine side, when we're in the doing, needs to create space to allow receiving. If you're in the feminine space and you're only in the receiving, you need to provide space so that you can do things for your private practice. So really it's finding the balance that's going to work for you with your energy, with your personality, with your special touch. It's going to look slightly different for everybody, but the key takeaway today is to really tune in and be aware, even if it's just this week, just as an experiment, just for fun. Why don't you have a look at your diary each day and just write an M or an F next to all the tasks that you did and just tally up, where am I mostly in my energy, and just see what comes up. It might be interesting. You might find that you are mostly in the masculine, and that's helpful to know, because then we can say, okay, what's getting in the way of you being better able to release, control, and allow yourself to receive. And most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, it's going to be things perhaps like scarcity mindset. Well, if I let go of trying to do all of the things, I'm not going to get any work, I'm not going to get any referrals. Or it might be fear. Well, if I let it go, it's all going to fall over and it's all on me. All the obligation is on me. All the responsibility is on me. And you especially feel like that if you're a private practice owner who has contractors or employees, don't you? Because they can come and go. That's the reality. They can come and go. They don't bear any of the obligations or responsibilities to the business, do they? They're not paying for the rates. They're not paying for all the marketing. They're not paying for the overheads. They're not paying for the electricity to stay on and the phones to keep going and admin and all of that, are they? They can waft in and waft out. And that's the beauty of being a contractor. It's great if you don't want to have any of those overheads and responsibilities. You have total freedom. But when you're the practice owner, it's a different story. And so there are different energies that, you're both going to bring to the practice and the business, and how you work in it and on it, and finding a balance that's going to work for both of you is going to be super important. So how do you do it? I think raising your awareness first off about where you tend to be sitting with the energy is probably the first step, because from there you'll be able to make decisions about what needs to happen. And when you make those decisions about what needs to happen, I want you to allow yourself to feel it in your body. Just feel what comes up. Is it scary for you to let go? Is it scary to receive? Do you have stories about what it means to allow yourself to be supported, for example? Do you have stories around what it means to be seen, to be visible? The other thing that I would ask you to reflect on is, if you're mostly in your masculine, I want you to be honest with yourself and ask, what is staying in this energy helping me to avoid? What is staying in this energy helping me to avoid? And if you're in the feminine energy and you just love being with the clients and everything, I want you to do the same and ask yourself, by being in this energy, what am I allowing myself to avoid? And just see if you are avoiding anything by staying in that space. There's a good chance that you are. And as I said before, this new awareness can help you take the first step to creating change, depending on the changes that you want to see in your business. And as I mentioned, this is something that the women in the private practice class go into in a lot more detail. So each month they receive a kit, and it talks them through masculine approaches one month, feminine the next, to all kinds of things like mindset and visibility and finances and policies and procedures and structures, and finding their niche and aligning themselves and looking at their model of practice as sole trader and contractor, and learning how to speak more clearly about themselves and their practices and their approaches with confidence and without shame or imposter voices popping through, really embodying their sovereignty. And somebody was asking me about, what sovereignty means. And sovereignty to me means trusting in yourself. So in the class, these women learn how to know more deeply who they are, connect in with that, and learn how to feel safe speaking from that voice. You could call it your heart space, you could call it your soul, you could call it your guidance, your inner guidance, or your intuition. I'm teaching them how to operate from that space. When they learn how to do that, all of a sudden the fears around being seen, the fears around being judged, the fears around sharing their voice without shame, all disappear and dissolve, because they are acting and living with integrity now. Not that they weren't before, but it's more profound now. And so there's less of an external reliance on validation or locus of control or positive regard. They've taken back that control, and it's like anything that happens out there in the world externally that has very little effect on them now, because they know they're living their truth, they're practicing within the scope of their truth, and they're doing it in a way that's safe for them, safe for their clients, and really, really ethical as well. So it is possible for you to take these steps for yourself as well. And that's what I just want you to take away today, and really think about, as I said, where your energy's at, and if it needs to be changed, what steps could you take to support yourself in learning how to make that change. Okay. Now, if you have any questions about any of this, or you want to, I don't know, maybe you download the checklist and you've got some questions about how to implement that, or maybe you even, want to get on the waiting list for the class. As I said, it doesn't open and we don't start until the 9th of July, but it's only open to 30 people. So if you want to be on the waiting list for that, hit pause now and send me a quick email using the link below in the show notes. Just let me know that you want to be on the wait list, and I can absolutely add you to that so you can be first to know when the doors for that open, because I really, really, really want you to get the same results that these other women are experiencing as well. It just makes me so, 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 so happy. Like, this is my life's purpose. Do you know how it feels when you realize what your purpose is? You just have that moment where everything just clicks, the penny just drops, and you're just like so in love with what you're doing, and you're so lit up by it. And every single day, it's positive feedback, woman after woman after woman having all of these changes. And oh wow, like, I'm so glad for my journey. I'm so glad that I went into psychology. I'm so glad I left psychology. I'm so glad I went into coaching and consulting, and I'm so glad that I put this course together, because I see how it helps, and it's just the best feeling. And I wish I could bottle it up and sell it so that you could experience it too. Or I just wish that there was just some way of you being in my energy so that you could experience it too, because I really want you to know what it feels like to live from this space. And that's my highest intention, to help you get there if that's what you want. It can totally be yours, absolutely. So I hope that this podcast was really helpful for you, and I would love your feedback. And I'm always here, you know that. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to reach out. I hope that you have a really, really, really beautiful day, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.